Hello and welcome. Happy Sunday. We are moving ever closer to the kickoff of the 2024 NFL season, which begins on Thursday, September 5th. Until then, I'm taking you through each team preview. Today, I'm on my last team in the NFC West, and that was the fourth place finishing Arizona Cardinals. 2023 was not a great season for the Cardinals as Jonathan Gannon began his tenure as head coach. They struggled on offense with quarterback Kyler Murray missing half the season recovering from a serious knee injury suffered in 2022. But when Murray returned, the team looked a lot stronger. The Cardinals still finished just 4-13, but they really showed signs of optimism. After a strong offseason and a good draft, the squad is looking to take a step in 2024. Let's look at those offseason changes. The Cardinals bid farewell to receiver Marquise Brown, who signed with the Chiefs, and Rondale Moore, who was traded to the Falcons. But the trade yielded a new backup quarterback as the team brought in former Falcons starter Desmond Ridder to provide depth and insurance behind Murray. The Cardinals also added a few pieces highlighted by linebacker Mac Wilson, who came over from the Patriots, and Zay Jones, a wide receiver who came over from the Jaguars. But it was in the draft where they made their biggest splash. On draft night, with the number 4 overall pick, the Cardinals snagged former Ohio State receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. He caught 144 passes for nearly 2,500 yards and 28 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons there, giving the Cardinals a strong wide receiver one. The team also grabbed edge Darius Robinson and cornerback Max Melton. Then they snagged a running back in Trey Benson. Benson ran for 1,896 yards and 23 touchdowns in 2 years with Florida State. He's likely the future at running back for the Cardinals. Well, let's talk about their 2024 fantasy prospects. And of course, that kicks off with Kyler Murray being back and healthy, which is good news for the Cardinals. He only finished as quarterback 26 in 2023, but he only started 8 games. In that 8-game stretch, he was actually quarterback 9. I like him between quarterback 10 and 15, which is a little lower than his current ADP of quarterback 7. He could reach that level, but I like him just a touch lower. I think Ridder is little more than an insurance policy. In the backfield, the team still has veteran James Conner, as well as Amari DiMercato, Michael Carter, and Benson. It's an interesting group. Conner was running back 18, but has frequently missed time in his career. I like him to be the starter at the outset of the season, but I think Benson will take on the larger role by season's end. Both of them have RB3 value for me in 2024. DiMercato and Carter feel more like role players. Benson is the guy that I want in Dynasty. Among the receivers, the Cardinals have Harrison and second-year man Michael Wilson, along with Jones and veteran Greg Dortch. I suspect Marvin Harrison will be the team's top option. I like him to post wide receiver 2 numbers this season, but don't sleep on Wilson. He was wide receiver 60 last year, despite missing games and having limited targets. He could finish in the wide receiver 4-5 range. Jones feels more like the role player to me, a good veteran to help anchor the group. Meanwhile, the other top target for the Cardinals is tight end Trey McBride, who is pictured here with Kyler Murray. He finished as tight end 7 in 2023, really exploded onto the scene. I think he will only get better. That was finishing tight end 7 last year with Zach Ertz actually being the starter for the first 7 games. McBride did all that damage toward the back half of the stretch. I like him as a top 5 tight end option this season. So that brings us to how do I see the Cardinals overall? You know what? The Cardinals were a fun team to watch at times last year, especially down the stretch. They posted some really big victories, and I think they're poised to take a step forward this year. I liked the additions of Benson and Marvin Harrison. I love what Trey McBride is doing, kind of coming into his own. I think this might actually give Kyler Murray his best overall group of weapons that he's had in his time at Arizona. I think they could be a frisky team winning between 8 and 10 games. I think they'll be in the mix for a playoff spot. Ultimately, I think they probably finish behind the Rams and just miss out on the playoffs. But I like Arizona to be a lot better and a lot more fun